Guys, I genuinely do not know what we're supposed to do anymore. I had a lady earlier ask me to remove a bag of chips from her receipt because they were $6.59.
Our economy is struggling, and they are expecting working class people to absorb all of the costs of that. And this TikToker right here points out the brutal effects that has in people's lives.
For a bag of chips. Baby food is just wiped out constantly. Has been for months now. I gotta find a one-bedroom apartment within the next couple of months. And I can barely even get groceries because the prices are going up so fast. I just don't see an end in sight on it. I just don't know what to do anymore. I feel like I'm gonna be working my 20s away just nonstop. I have a college degree. I'm looking for a job in my field. I haven't found one yet, but even when I do, it's just gonna be working all day, every day, just to scrape up the bare minimum, just to maybe every once in a while buy that little bit of ice cream I wanted to splurge on because I can't afford it 99% of the time.
So this TikToker by the name of Crown Queen Rose points out the reality that people are facing when they go to the grocery store. And that is the simple fact that things are too expensive, that our economy doesn't make sense, that what people are paid does not match what it costs to be alive. And unfortunately, the leaders of our country are not really doing anything about it. Well, actually, they are doing things about it, except what they're doing is actively making things worse. Because what is happening right now is, as a response to coronavirus pandemic, as a response to the fact that so many people were disabled from coronavirus, that so many people died because of coronavirus, what has ended up happening is people have been starting to demand more from their workplaces. People have begun unionizing. People have begun quitting their jobs in the hopes of getting a new job that pays more. People have been going to different parts of the economy, all with the hope of finding better wages and demanding more from employers. And because of that, now they're squeezing our economy with the intention of bullying workers into a weaker position in society. It is not a coincidence that there's a wave of unionization and people demanding higher wages at the same time that the Federal Reserve is increasing their interest rates, that at the same time that corporations are increasing the profits on goods. Because you can see that very often there's little connection to any sort of increased cost. I mean, seriously, how could supply chain issues mean landlords have to increase their rent by like 30%? It's ridiculous on its face. Buildings didn't magically get more expensive to maintain. I mean, let's face it though, what landlords are even really maintaining their buildings at all anyways? This is all part of a larger effort of suppressing the working class, of demanding more from working class people and trying to maintain a lower rate of wages. And it is not for the sake of reducing inflation, because this inflation that we're experiencing is not natural result of things just getting more expensive or the result of wages increasing. It's the result of rampant profiteering, of giant companies that are making record profits demanding to continue to get more record profits. And so they're artificially squeezing the economy in order to put working class people in this more tenuous position so people are more desperate and more willing to take lower wages. And you can see this in all of the companies that respond to unionization efforts by closing down stores. They quite literally would rather have lower profits so long as it means that capitalists maintain their relative position of power. Because that's really what it's all about. If these companies really cared about unquestioned economic growth, then we would do things like what China is doing and invest heavily in infrastructure and renewable energy and all of these things that are proven to grow the economy and improve everybody's lives. But they aren't doing that. They are focused entirely on short-term profits. They don't want the government to be investing their tax dollars into things like infrastructure. They don't want to be doing things that are beneficial to everybody. They want their relative position of power over working class people. I mean, seriously, one of the leaders of the Federal Reserve basically said that their goal by raising the interest rates was to keep wages down. It really doesn't get more cut and dry than that. And this isn't even the first time that this has happened, by the way. There are several times in the past where the Federal Reserve has used interest rates as a tool to try and suppress the interests of workers. Basically, what is happening right now is you have an intentional crashing of our economy. You have an intentional squeeze of working class people where the cost of living is being artificially increased with the aim of breaking working class power, with the aim of making people so desperate that they're willing to accept lower wages. And the reason why there are so many companies that are all doing this is because at the end of the day, these companies are very often invested in each other, and they all know that there's a common job market in the United States, and they all realize that it's more beneficial to all of them to work together because once again, they're invested in each other's companies in order to suppress the interests of the working class more broadly. It's one of the features of the American system and the stock market that we have that instead of companies competing against each other, because the shareholders of these companies very often are shareholders of basically every other company out there, the leadership of these companies aren't interested as much in competing with other corporations so much as they're interested in creating a general trend of capitalists wielding power over working class people. Which is why there's this general trend of companies to basically form these oligopolies that work in a certain degree of mildly competitive synchronicity with each other, while creating an overall environment of actively working to keep wages low and the cost of living high so that workers are desperate, all while demanding an ever increasing invasiveness into people's work lives and sometimes even personal lives.